When was the last time you played outside? I'm not talking about a workout, although good for you. And I'm not talking about tennis or softball or whatnot. I'm talking about moving your body in ways you haven't quite planned. Sliding down handrails, leaping across imaginary flows of lava, climbing above a pit of alligators, poking their heads out of the sidewalk. Movement play makes us stronger and happier and counterintuitively safer. It's the best tool I know of for reconnecting us to our bodies and to our cities. But for something so simple and natural, it's surprisingly hard to get adults to even try it. Incorporating play into our public spaces through design is the best way to make play accessible to everyone and get people to actually do it. Let's start here. Evolution has shaped us to be movers. For millennia, we have walked to cover long distances, ran and sprinted in pursuit of game, balanced and leapt across logs and streams, and climbed trees and rocks to find food or escape the occasional wolf pack. All these movements are environmental. They're shaped by the land and the structures around us. But not only do our modern lives no longer require us to go sliding down hillsides escaping bears, our urban environments actively work against us, constraining the ways we can move to walking, maybe the occasional run around the block. We already recognize how vital it is for kids to move their bodies in creative and challenging ways. But past about age 12, that's the top age limit for US playgrounds, we just kind of stop. By adulthood, most of us have either lost fluency in these natural movements or hyper-specialized them to the needs of a particular hobby or sport. And that loss of broad movement literacy has real consequences. These natural movements, balancing, jumping, climbing, they're what strengthen our bones and ligaments. They keep our joints mobile, our minds sharp, our muscles explosive and elastic. They allow us to stumble down stairs without falling and protect us from injury when, inevitably, we do. Oh, I've been dancing around this a little bit, but my favorite way to play in the city is parkour. I've been doing parkour for about 11 years now, and, that's me. And after that much time hopping over walls, jumping between bars, and occasionally falling on my ass, I'm still at it. I love parkour because it feeds on the unloved and overlooked bits of a city. Electrical boxes, access ramps, loading docks. When these things fall by chance into a usable arrangement, it feels like alchemy, a playground synthesized out of nothing, just for you. I want to take a step back from parkour for just a second to talk about one particular movement pattern, walking, because I think it offers a great lesson for how we can encourage other, more exciting types of movement in the city. I would argue that the crowning achievement of modern urbanism has been to make cities walkable again. That is, to design and build for this basic fundamental human movement as a desirable element of urban life. And to do that, urbanists needed infrastructure and incentives. Connected sidewalks, protected intersections, mass transit, they gave people the ability to walk around their cities. But pedestrian malls, urban greenery, and other beautification initiatives made it something that people would actually want to do. And to take this connection one step further, there's a real and important difference between building a walking track in the city and building the city itself so that people will walk through it. Both of those things, the purpose-built and the integrated, are important. They have their place. Bringing things back to play, I certainly don't want to discourage cities from investing in amazing new playgrounds or, parkour parks, obviously. But when play is defined and anticipated, it lacks this crucial element of, let's call it, cheerful transgression that the best play possesses. So I want moments of play, of physical exploration, to leap out at you and grab 5 minutes of your day, like a partner pulling you out onto the dance floor. And to be clear, I don't expect that hordes of people are suddenly going to develop a passion for leaping between rooftops. But the fundamental lesson of parkour, that challenge and play can be found anywhere, that's something we can all benefit from. So, on a practical level, what does this look like? How do we build play into the fabric of our cities? The amount of options for this is luckily pretty staggering. So, for the purposes of this talk, I'm going to build all of our examples off of this, the humble stair and ADA ramp set. They are absolutely freaking everywhere. And within all the statutory requirements about handrail height and ramp width is a lot of potential. So we're going to take this ramp and turn it into a playground. I want it to encourage those big 3 movements I keep mentioning: balancing, jumping, climbing. I want it to offer opportunities for exercise and unexpected playful Easter eggs for people to find. And of course, we have to do all of this without interfering with this ramp's core purpose, which is to safely move people between 2 levels. So let's start with balance. Balancing along bars is fun and challenging, but it's also intimidating to be a couple feet above the ground, so we need a way to ease people into it. Let's take this end of the ramp and kind of gently pull it down into the ground to give people a gradual way up. And then we'll do the same thing here on the other side to give people a second place to start or to finish. Here in the middle, I'm going to add a little wiggle. Just something more inviting about a curving surface. Now, I would balance on this already, but I am a weirdo, as we have already discussed. We need to go further. It's not enough to have the structure, we need to also have the incentive. We need to give people that extra bit of permission they need to see this structure and use it in a different way. So let's take this rail that we've made and paint it a different color, something bright to help separate it from the rest of the structure. And then we'll take that color and pull it down into the ground with paint and add a little arrow. All I'm doing is implying a new path with a new kind of movement behind it, traversing this same space. Nothing explicit, just follow me. All right, now for some jumping. We don't need to touch the structure of this staircase at all to get something fun out of it. Just a bit of paint. Here's a starting place and some stenciled letters. You get the idea? I'd love to add more potential for upper body stuff, climbing, swinging. So let's start with a pull-up bar right here at the entrance. And then I'm going to add another bar. This is partially a structural support, but it also makes a neat little window that you can swing through, like that. Again, let's call attention to that, make people notice it with a bright color, and then I'm going to repeat that color in another place on the ramp where a similar movement could be used. Put both of those together, again, you have another path through this space with a different kind of movement that you otherwise wouldn't get to do. To finish things off, how about a slide over here by the stairs? Just something familiar and playful, but in a new context. So altogether, this is a bit exaggerated, but I think it helps illustrate just how much potential for movement and play we can pack into a small space. And crucially, how much we can leverage existing structures, stuff that we have to build and pay for anyway, to help play appear in unexpected places. Now, this type of design, call it playful design, is already out there. From these swinging ropes in Copenhagen to this undulating performance space in Chicago, to something as simple as the challenge issued by this pull-up bar at a juice shop over in the University Village. I cannot do 20 pull-ups, as it turns out. I also didn't buy the $10 carrot juice, so... I'll leave you with this. Part of the reason I chose to use an access ramp as my example is that they're already pretty good to play on. The paint, the stencils, the curving bars, they're nice to have, but ultimately, they're just tools to help nudge you towards play. So, do me a favor. I want you to embarrass yourself a little bit. The next time you're out walking around in the city, keep your eye out for a low bar to balance on, or a pair of rocks to jump between, or bus shelter to hang from. Ideally, bring a friend with you. Trust me, it's way more fun, and you will feel a lot less crazy. Making a city playful begins and ends with the people in it, and that's you. So go out there, balance on the handrails, vault over the benches, swing on the lampposts. Thank you.